That is enough talk for the Lions this week. I think we need to talk about a team that is on a more positive winning path as your Dallas Cowboys took another step closer towards a division championship.
Yeah, another step towards a division championship, and after I denounced the Tigers last week, the last few weeks
Lions.
after the Lions and Tigers and Bears. After I denounced the Lions last week, saying how I fucking hate them, I love them this week.
They fuck with you on the betting
on the
line.
reg. Yeah, they a couple times.
Yeah, they were 12 and a half point underdogs and overcame that by over 18 points. So
yeah,
that's a 30 and a half point swing on the spread there for the Lions. So
yeah. So I love them this week because they knocked off Arizona, who everyone was ready to, they're the best team in the NFC. So we'll see how that plays out. And then on before we get to the Cowboys, then on Sunday night, the New Orleans Saints, in one of the most boring games of the year, beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 9-0.
Yeah, that was a rock fight. That was like a Big Ten game in the mud of November or something, Purdue and Northwestern.
Yes, exactly. And suddenly the Cowboys went from the number 4 seed to the number 2 seed this week. With the possibility of maybe being able to get to that number 1 seed. The only team in their way is Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. Same old story for the Cowboys. The offense struggled again, even against the Giants. They actually had an okay running game going because Pollard was back, and that seemed to be working. But the offensive coordinator is in love with the passing game, and the passing game just still was not clicking. But when your defense is still creating 4+ turnovers a game, it's going to take a lot for your offense to let you lose that game.
Yeah.
Scary things again, though. It was the fourth quarter. They were trying to just ice it away. Dak fumbled this time versus throwing an interception. And when I've been watching him over the last few weeks, he looks fine physically, but there's something not clicking like it was earlier in the season. His reads, I mean, he looks like he just has trouble reading a zone defense versus a man-to-man. And it's like he's not seeing linebackers that drop back in coverage. And if they were playing a better team than the Giants, he probably would have had an interception in the first quarter. He basically almost it looked like he threw the ball to a Giants linebacker who just dropped it, who had just sort of dropped back midway, sort of sitting out there, exactly like the interception he threw in the fourth quarter the week before. So, I mean, they got to figure out this. They got to figure out this offense. I know I sound like a broken record, but it is the only thing that's really a team that has arguably one of the best receiving cores in all of football is having trouble moving the ball on a consistent basis. And, maybe it's time to play Zeke less until this knee gets a little bit better and Pollard into the starting back role, because I think he did outrush Zeke again. Zeke had a nice run for a touchdown in the first quarter, which kind of made me believe, okay, well, this game's going to get ugly in a hurry, but it never did. It was 21-6. So it's fun. I much prefer watching. Right now, I prefer when the defense is on the field. I was watching Red Zone on Sunday versus the game because I didn't even think it was going to be much of a contest. And I kept saying to Charlie, "Oh my God, they should go to the Cowboys and the defense is on the field because there's a better chance they're going to score." So Trevon Diggs got another interception, which made him the all-time interceptions leader in Cowboy history.
Wow.
Over Everson Walls, who was an incredible cornerback back in the 80s. He was amazing. I remember watching him throughout the 80s.
Oh, so. I remember. They were always fucking Cowboys were always on TV, so I always saw Everson Walls.
That's right. That's how you become a Cowboys fan.
Danny White, Randy White.
Yeah, a lot. Ed Too Tall Jones.
Oh, too tall.
Yeah, that was the Doomsday Defense, and I kind of think it's back. So
Nice.
welcome back, Doomsday Defense. But let's get the offense going. And what I said to some other Cowboys fans this week, during our rally together, our meeting, our annual weekly Cowboys meeting.
Southside Chicago Cowboys meeting.
Yeah. During our weekly meeting. No, but some fellow fans I do talk to from time to time. I said this week is going to be interesting because they're back at home, and they're one of those teams like when New Orleans was in their prime with Drew Brees.
Yeah.
They were a completely different team at home than they were on the road, and you didn't want to. If you got the Saints on the road, you had a chance of beating them. But once you got that offense on that turf and you were indoors and in a controlled environment, unstoppable. So, it's at home where they've averaged 40 points on offense a game. So they've been away for 2 weeks. So let's see what happens this weekend against football team. Interestingly enough, because of the extra game this year, the Cowboys haven't officially clinched the division yet, with a 3.5 game lead over football team and the Eagles tonight.
Who are playing as we speak.
With the Eagles leading football team 17-10 right now. The funny part is which I could see this happening with the way this weekend has gone in the NFL, and this whole season has been the last few weeks. If they tie, they win the division. So there is a chance tonight the Cowboys can clinch the division if football team and the Eagles draw after a regular period and overtime. So
we have seen stranger things this season.
I mean, it was tied 10-10 at half. So anything can still happen. They're not very good teams. So
get ready to pop the champagne.
I may have that bourbon bottle just sitting next to me to have a sip, a victory sip, a clinching sip. However, if they do beat the football team on Sunday, they do clinch. So it kind of seems inevitable at this point, but
yeah, in such a terrible division, the NFC least, as we like to call them. I think your offensive issues, it seems like you have time to work those out, especially if you clinch the division, you're working for playoff seeds, I guess, at that point. But the rest of the NFC, like you mentioned, has kind of gotten out of your way. So I think you're in a perfect position. Even if your offense is struggling, you've got time to work those things out before the playoffs actually start.
Well, we do have one big game on the schedule left. We got Arizona. So we do have our own.
That's a W. Just
the Lions.
Big deal.
Big deal.
Lions fucked them up.
I can't really believe with the Cardinals that DeAndre Hopkins not being in the lineup has affected their offense that much.
12
but
points.
Maybe it has.
All they could muster.
There was. I don't want to go back to that game, but I should have mentioned this. That one interest. Did you watch the whole thing, right? That play.
I did take a walk in the fourth quarter because the only thing that could happen is they could collapse. So I just keep getting updates.
I think this did happen. It was either late in the third or in the fourth when they had Murray, I thought, dead to rights. He had run backwards like 20 yards. And then he threw that ball like 30 yards down the field and got a first down somehow. I was like, how the hell did that happen? And it wasn't like there was bad coverage either. It was just like he still put the ball on the money. And I was
the magic of Kyler Murray. That's what he's been doing a lot this year.
I thought for sure, I'm like, oh my God, they're going to get like a 20+ yard loss on this play. Yeah. And he throws a rocket.
I'm pretty sure the Lions stuffed him three plays after that. So
yeah, they didn't do anything after that.
Yeah, that's kind of another amazing moment in Lions history.
So thank you, Lions. Thank you, Saints. And now we just need someone. I just need someone to beat the Packers. So
Yeah. Well, it won't be the Bears. I don't even know if they still play the
I
Bears. I
don't
haven't looked
think
at
it
their
would be the
schedule.
Vikings either after last
Yeah.
night's game.
Yeah. Monday Night Football was not, it was, there was a bonus game, which is probably merciful because that was fun to watch before the Bears embarrassed themselves and the Vikings. That was an awful game. Monday Night Football at 8:15 local time, or no, 8:15 Eastern time. I haven't watched a Bears game in a while, and I'm surprised they keep giving them a national spotlight,
I,
considering how shitty they are.
yeah, I
They
can't believe that
joined,
game was on Monday night. They didn't move it.
they joined the Lions as the second team to be mathematically eliminated from the playoffs. Yet people keep watching that team for whatever reason. They put them on TV and they run that goddamn air raid siren for every offensive play for the other team, and it is so fucking annoying. I can't imagine what it sounds like in the stadium. It's terrible for TV. The funniest thing is, the Bears would turn the ball over, and then the first thing they would start playing the air raid siren because the other team has the ball because they play it on first, second, third, and fourth down, whatever they have to do. They keep playing that fucking thing, but so they'd fire up the crowd immediately after a turnover, like fumbling or muffing a punt. That's the only part that I found amusing. The other part I find amusing is I haven't seen Matt Nagy in a while because I do my best not to watch the Bears, but we're in a mid to late December, and he's still the bald guy wearing a fucking visor. And I've said this for years: never trust a bald man wearing a visor. Bald men like me wear baseball caps if they're going to wear a hat or a stocking cap in December. What the point of a visor on a bald man is, I have no idea. First of all, you get the sunburn, you get the weird tan lines on your head with the stripe around covered up by the visor. But then in inclement weather, you're fucking freezing. So that should have been a sign unto all Bears fans that this guy is a fool. And I think it's playing out as we saw the Bears get beat 17-3. Just Justin Fields is supposed to be the savior. He's still fumbling the ball at an alarming rate. You mentioned they had COVID issues, but there was not much happening with that offense. And again, I don't know how Matt Nagy still has a job. They are definitely waiting until the season is over, apparently, to actually fire him. But even Brian Greasy at the end of the broadcast basically was calling for his firing, saying that Chicago deserves better than what Matt Nagy is providing, which I thought was kind of a shocking statement. He kind of walked it back a little bit right after in the broadcast, but I mean, he was as caustic as you and I have been about Matt Nagy at one point. I may have gotten a bit carried away, but that's just the state of affairs for the Bears. I don't know if you watch. I don't think you watched that game at all.
I have a hard time not watching a football game. I do. I really do. And I just put a stake in the ground and said, this game does not deserve a minute of my time.
Wow.
I don't think the Vikings are a very good team. In fact, despite probably having overall better records in the NFC North, I don't think the NFC North is anything better than the NFC East is either. I think you each they have one good team, the Packers, and the Cowboys are the one good team in the East. So
that's a good analogy.
It's like watching any of these other games, you might get something that what you want is you're hoping that it's a shootout or something. So it's entertaining and there's lots of scoring, but this game was just terrible. And Kirk Cousins continues to show he's talk about a phrase we use a lot on our other podcast that was originally used at the White Sox by their GM, but you talk about mirror to mediocrity. This guy is mediocrity at its finest. He has like 3 really good, outstanding games per season. Yeah. And then everything else is just like really bad decision making. And I know everyone's saying Jefferson fell down on that one interception in the game where it looked like he just basically threw to the Bears defense because there was no one standing around. Yeah. Actually, in replay, he was pushed over. And I know it's all timing, these patterns and things like that. But where he was looking and where he stepped up and the point he threw the ball, Jefferson was on the ground. Like you had to be able to notice he wasn't going to be there. And he still chose to throw the ball. So, like, I know a Vikings fan who went to the game and they said they were embarrassed to be a Vikings fan because when you play a team, one that's as bad as the Bears to begin with, and then you take 14 starters off their roster.
Yeah.
I mean, it should be a blowout. It
17-3 is not what you're looking for.
No. Pathetic on both sides of the ball from the highlights I saw. Out of respect to this podcast, I did look at the highlights.
Thank you for your respect.
Yes. Respect. Ooh. Speaking of respect, I'm going to respect everyone this week and not do an upset special because the NFL is in such turmoil. I cannot figure anything out. Everything is up in the air.
I think it's specifically the Lions have turned your mind into a pretzel as they continue to cover the spread in amazing fashion. They are 9-5 against the spread now.
Well,
I said before, this time they were a 12.5 point underdog and they won by 18, which is
I've officially circled the last game, the last Sunday of the season on my calendar because the Lions, as you mentioned, are playing the Packers at home.
Oh, God.
That could be the Cowboys' path to the number 1 seed right there. Will the Lions aid the Cowboys? Will it basically be the Cowboys win out and have made it to the number 1 seed courtesy of winning out with the Lions' help?
It depends on how SOL decides it can fuck us as dramatically as possible, whether it's moving the Lions from the number 2 pick to the number 5 or 6 pick with a victory, or however that's going to play out. Whatever it's going to do, it's going to fuck one of us. I guarantee SOL will rear its ugly head somehow in that game.
SOL!
Word Hole Media.